Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Depthcember is in full swing and we're playing some weird and wonderful decks. Today is no exception. We are playing a Nadu Maverick Depths deck. Now, we may only have one copy of Dark Depths, but we do have Knight of the Reliquary and Elvish Reclaimer to dig it out, so we can do the Dark Depths plus Thespian stage combo as and when we need it. But then we can just play this little Maverick game plan. So we've got some Noble Hierarchs to ramp us out a little bit into a bunch of really nice singletons that we can fetch off of Green Sun Zenith. So we have Outland Liberator, we have Scryb Ranger, which can target our creatures, which is useful for this Nadu. It also gives us the ability to just block a Psychic Frog and not care about it, or a Murktide Regent. This card is surprisingly good, and the amount of games this card has won is probably a lot higher than you would initially consider. We've got a Keen-Eye Curator to mess with graveyards along with this Endurance. We've got Gadot Teague, which can stop people casting Karn, the One Ring, stuff like that. It does stop our own Green Sun, but the damage it does to our opponent is going to be much better. We've got Ramunap Excavator, so we can put someone in the Wasteland lock, a thing that I love to do to people. And then we just have like the Knights of the Reliquary that I mentioned, which is our main, like, if we just need some beef, this is what we're finding. We have the Nadu. Now you may be asking, Scryb Ranger isn't enough to trigger a Nadu. But I'll tell you what is. This equipment, which has a 0 cost equipment. So we can use this to equip for 0, just the same way as you would with the Shuko, except this card is just a little bit better with the other things we're doing. So we can make our creature untargetable. So it can't equip onto the same creature twice. It has to flip between creatures, but we are a creature deck, so that should be okay. We do have a Dryad Arbor in our mana base as well, so we can use this as a mana dork effectively. We have Mother of Runes to protect our creatures. And we have a Stoneforge Mystic, which can find this Lightning Greaves. It can also find the Kaldra Compleat, or it can find the pre-war formalwear and bring back like a Nadu or a Knight or whatever. There's an Outland Liberator in here as well, and we got 3 Once Upon a Time to set up our early draws being nice and smooth. We got some Swords to Plowshares as our removal of choice here. And in our mana base, we've got a few tech lands. So we've got the Karakas, we've got the Cradle, we've got Hedge Maze, which we can use as a little bit of extra selection there. And we've got the Talon Gates, which you can use to phase a creature out at a key moment. So we can be making some hasty 2020s, which hopefully we'll be able to do today. And that basically is the deck. This list comes from Stein von Dungen, who we've played some of their decks on the channel before, and I had a different donor who wanted to see a Maverick Nadu Depths deck. And I just happened to know a guy who had this list, so it's pretty exciting. Sideboard-wise, what we're looking at here, so we've got some more equipment in Cryptic Coat we need to grind up games long. We've also got the Assimilation Aegis as a bit of removal. We've got a little bit more removal in Path and Dismember. We've got some Graveyard Hate in Fairy Macabre, a Collector Roof to go and find. We've got some Force of Vigors, a Damping Sphere, and a Disruptor Flute. So just a selection of tools. We are playing relatively fair, but we do have Nadu, we do have Lightning Greaves to have some hasty 2020s, or just, have a Nadu that our opponent can't really deal with. So we've got some buttons we can push that are quite unfair, and some of our silver bullets are pretty good. At the recent Eternal Weekend in Europe, Cradle Control, I think, put 3 decks into the top 32, which is a bit of a surprise to me, because that deck kind of feels a bit on the fair side. So maybe we can do something similar, but instead of having our natural order as our unfair thing we're doing, we have the Nadu. Alright, deck tech over and done with. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to see my videos early, just £1 a month on the YouTube membership helps me out financially and lets you see the videos early. So why not do that if you're in a position to do so? Enough talking. Let's Maverick Nadu Depths somebody. I've got to think of a catchy name for that. Let's see if we can do it for the thumbnail. Alright, let's go. Okay, I think we can keep this. There's only one lander, but we can cast basically everything in our hand. And we're on the draw, so if we draw a second land, then all of a sudden we're unlocked and we can make some different choices. But we could easily just go Dryad Arbor off of a Savannah on turn 1. But we'll see what our opponent plays and how we need to navigate this game. Maybe we need to get this Mother of Runes down stat, or this is a game where we want the Elvish Reclaimer to access Graveyard Hate. Alright, it looks like we want the Elvish Reclaimer to access Graveyard Hate. So I'd love to draw a land this turn. Okay, I think we're just going to play the Hierarch here. Just have that guaranteed mana. I think we need to play on a forest here. Oh, I don't want to play this Reclaimer though. It is tempting so that we at least have access. Oh wait, we don't even have a Bajuka Bog in the list. Ignore me. Okay, check the list, no Bajuka Bog. This is an easy Noble Hierarch turn. Obviously our opponent doesn't know we don't have a Bajuka Bog, so playing the Reclaimer and representing Bajuka Bog is an interesting thing we can do. A Psychic Frog. Understood. Let's try and plow this. Alright, we're just in with that. I'm going to... I think I want to Green Suns for... Yeah, I'm going to Green Suns for the Dryad Arbor here. This is a little bit of a display of weakness. because we're showing that we don't have a second land. But we effectively have 2 lightning rods for removal for our opponent, but they can't take us off of 2 mana for the next turn. Tamiyo, sure. This is a matchup where getting the Scryb Ranger is going to be pretty handy. Yes, they can Fatal Push it, but it can block all of their threats. Whether that's Murktide, Frog, although Tamiyo is not really a threat in the traditional sense. A Wasteland. Goodbye, Dryad Arbor. Yep, so that was the thing we could have attacked with and actually dealt some damage to the Tamiyo. Alright, it's getting tough. And we're missing on land over and over again, which is not really where I want to be. Let's play this Reclaimer out. And then we have a choice between Reclaimer and Mother of Runes here. I think I want to get another Reclaimer down, because these can cycle lands and give us the 3/4 attacker to pressure this Tamiyo. It's going to be a bit tough for us to beat this turn 2 Planeswalker. But both of these have the ability to attack and get a little bit of buff off of the Hierarch. Interesting they're doing it now rather than letting us attack and then killing it with the Exalted trigger on the stack. I think that would be my preferred approach there if I were them. Alright, so they're just getting the Fatal Push back with the Tamiyo, sure. And they're just going to Fatal Push our Reclaimer, but then we can attack with the Hierarch and kill the Tamiyo. Okay. I think I was more worried if this went up. Okay, so we'll go to attacks to attack Tamiyo for 1. And then I guess we Green Sun Zenith for 1. Would I like another Noble Hierarch? I do quite like having access to the mana here. They really didn't want us to have this Elvish Reclaimer though. But we don't have an immediate way. I guess we have the Wasteland actually, don't we? Yeah, we just get a Reclaimer here. So we can fetch up our combo if we want to. We can deal with what our opponent is putting down. We can just play Nadu as a card that is a fine creature. Because once this is in play, all their removal gets a lot worse. And it also bashes for 4 with the Exalted off of the Hierarch, which is not a small amount of damage, to be honest with you. Yep, an Orcish Bowmasters. Not my best friend right now. It's not really what we're after, is it? I think we're probably having to cycle through a land here. So we hold back the Bowmasters with our creature, and then we can flip this Wasteland into something else. I don't think Wastelanding our opponent when they've already got 3 lands is going to make much of a difference. So we flip this into a Savannah or a Hedge Maze. The Hedge Maze gets us extra selection but doesn't unlock our hand. Okay, we'll block here. Kaito. Yeah, Kaito's pretty strong. What do I want to do here? I think it probably is the Savannah. We don't have a plains in this deck list. There's no point getting a Karakas. We can never bounce this anyway, because it always has hexproof when it's a creature. Okay, we get Savannah now. We should have done this later on, because our opponent could play a Wasteland now. Right, so they're stunning our guy. A Dark Depths. What does that do here? So we could play our Mother of Runes or our Gaddock Teague. What is Gaddock Teague stopping for our opponent's end? Not a lot, really. It's just going to stop the Force of Wills. It could have stopped a Kaito, but it's too late for that. I think we are on getting the Mother down. And I will play out this Dark Depths, because we could just draw into Thespian stage next turn. If we can just get enough mana to deploy our hand. I yielded through my turn with the wrong pass priority button, so we didn't get to play out the Dark Depths. That could be costly. Or it could do literally nothing. Alright, so taking a hit from this. They're just making their ninja guy bigger. Thoughtseize. Alright, so we're going to lose the Plow most likely, but it could be the Nadu. Nadu's just a very scary thing to exist as a game object. Alright, they got a Frog. No cards in hand though. But they can tap any guy down they want to. Having a land that doesn't tap for mana is pretty annoying here. And the Green Sun Zenith, if we play the Gaddock Teague, we can't use the Green Sun Zenith. So we can either Green Sun Zenith now just to get more mana, which I think is probably what we have to do. Feels pretty terrible. But if we get one more mana, we can get the we can go and get Scryb Ranger. Okay, I think we have to play this guy as a chump blocker for a turn. We get to untap our Elvish Reclaimer next turn. Yep, Frog goes to the sky. Kaito attacks us. We put the Gaddock Teague under the bus. Just save a little bit of life. They might just put some stun counters on our Reclaimer, or they might just draw a card. Either situation is pretty strong for our opponents. Another Frog. All right, things are certainly heating up. All right, so we found the land we want. So we go and get a tropical island. I think this is a really tough call. I'm not sure either of these is going to resolve is the problem. Let's go and get Scryb Ranger. Okay, we're in with a Scryb Ranger. So we can use this to get through one of the Kaito stun bits, because this just untaps it, right? I think that's how it works. An Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, that's a pretty horrible draw for us. Yeah, that's a real pain. So this is 4, 5, 6 damage, 7, 8. So they can't kill us this turn, but we're pretty dead next turn. Just doesn't untap. I don't think we can win this one. I'm just going to scoop it up. Yeah, that Kaito just absolutely ruined us there. I've been quite impressed with Kaito in general. So, I don't think we want to get up Teak here. We don't really want the Outland Liberator either. This is the matchup where Mother of Runes looks good, Source to Plowshares looks good, Keen-Eye Curator looks good, Scryb Ranger looks good, Ramunap is fine, Endurance is fine, all these are pretty solid. So there's only 2 cards I think are bad. What cards do I think are good here? How much am I fearful of Kaito? Kaito is definitely a bit of a problem. Hopefully we can just attack the Kaito if we just play like a little bit more removal. So we could run like a path and just make sure they don't have any creatures that can attack us. We could bring in something like the Assimilation Aegis just as a tutorable removal spell, which can also do some pretty funky things. Or we could bring in the Cryptic Coat to grind if we think this game is going to go long. I think this game is going to be quite a grindy one. So maybe this is a Cryptic Coat matchup. I'm just a touch fearful of what they can do with the Kaito. Am I supposed to board in a Disruptive Flu, or am I supposed to assume I'm going to have some... No, I'm going to go for this Cryptic Coat. It can help us in a long game. It can also pressure Planeswalkers because it's unblockable. Okay, I will keep this on. So we probably get Savannah and play the Mother, because they have to remove this Mother of Runes on the first turn. Otherwise, their removal basically doesn't work unless they double up on it. And that just means that the rest of our creatures are a bit safer. Tamio, sure. I think we'll go and get our Tropical Island for later. We could get another Savannah and... No, I think we should... I don't really want to get wasted off of white here. But our whole hand is green anyway, so I think that's okay. So we could flash in this Scryb Ranger. We could play this Reclaimer. Reclaimer does get us towards Dark Depth combo pretty quick. We could go and get Hierarch to help ramp out. And play out the Reclaimer. So if we had kept our fetch hand uncracked, we could have got a Hedge Maze. That might have been a slightly better line for us there. But we have the Scryb Ranger. If we just go and tutor Nadu, we can do some stuff. Right, so we're going to lose our only white source. We'll float a white mana. Yeah, we could have avoided this situation. And it doesn't really make a difference here. So we could just start cracking. I'll play this one. I guess we phase out this Tamio. So if they want to brainstorm, they have to do it now, so they can't brainstorm. We just crack in for 3 here and hold up the Ranger. Another Wasteland. Well, let's see if we can get this to work. We flash this in, we can bounce this forest. Sad news for us. So now mana is a very difficult thing to come by. They didn't use anything with that blue mana. Verdant Catacombs. Do I want to just keep pressuring my opponent, or do I want to have a little bit of resilience against Wasteland? We can also work towards the combo here, if we want to. But I think we're better off... what are we better off doing here? I think we're just going to keep pressuring our opponent's life total. We can go get a Hedge Maze if we want the Surveil. It is a green land that can hopefully find us a bit more mana. Because we just need raw mana more than anything right now. But our opponent doesn't have any land, so we're not going to see a Psychic Frog this turn. They are assembling a bunch of clues, so they have this late game engine where they can start cracking them. But we are certainly winning the race because they're attacking for 0. A Brainstorm. Okay. This is going to flip the Tamio, but we do get to attack it for 2 if we want to. We could go and get a Noble Hierarch and change it to an attack for 3, which actually does more than it gains a turn. Right, let's go and get this Hedge Maze. I would like the ability to... Ooh, Stoneforge. I don't think we're about that right now. We just want the land. Because we can't cast it anyway. Mother of Runes. Let's go and get a Hierarch here. Go attacks. Attack Tamio. This will put it to 1. The Hierarch just cancels out the Tamio trigger. So we won't be able to get any cards back this turn. They can plus it and force us to attack it again. And then we're going to have to work through all this card advantage our opponent has ready to go on board. Thoughtseize. So we're probably going to lose the Zenith here. That's what I would take. I think that's a pretty clear-cut choice as well. Our opponent agrees. But if they plus the Tamiyo, they lose it this turn. Well, they're going to lose the Tamiyo unless they can play a land and kill our creature. But we have a Mother of Runes, which is pretty good at keeping our creature alive. But Tamiyo has already gotten a decent amount of Tamiyo. Right, they're going to force us to tap the Mother of Runes here, but that's probably okay. Right, I'll play this Mother of Runes. Do I play out this Dark Depths and threaten it, or do I just try and tax our opponent's mana? Because they're already a little bit behind on mana. I think I'm going to attack my opponent's mana here. Because when they start cracking these clues, they're going to start pulling ahead. So we need to make sure that's not the case. Because we want this game to end where they have a bunch of clues in play and they just haven't got to leverage any of that advantage. It's not a bad draw, is it? Right, I think we're just going to attack with our friend here. This is just classic gaming right now. Just some little creatures and a Mother of Runes. What's not to love? Right, white and colourless. Let's play Stoneforge. Is this worth anything to your opponent? Alright, so we can go and get a Kaldra Compleat is probably the best thing we can get here. Just have another have more threats to throw at our opponent here. Because they can't kill our Stoneforge Mystic, we have 2 Mother of Runes up. Well, they can, but it's going to cost them so many cards that our Elvish Reclaimer is going to be able to run away with the game. Alright, so they're starting to crack the clues now. So they're getting into that. But our opponent should hopefully lose this game with cards in hand and clues on board. That's what we're aiming for. What's this going to be? A Ponder. Okay. So that gives them 2 mana to work with if they find land. Alright, they're just scooping it up. Just a classic Mavericking right there. Okay, that felt pretty good. The Tamiyo was also a little bit problematic for us. But like I said, we just want creatures and then pressure them. Do I want something like a Dismember, just a little bit extra removal? Perhaps. But what would we be cutting for that? I guess we could maybe take out one Once Upon a Time. Because we're boarding in things that Once Upon a Time doesn't hit. That could be a little sketchy though. Sure, I just want this extra removal spell. We're just going to trade resources. And hopefully what we're left with is good enough. These 1-landers. I don't think we can keep a 1-land ETB tap land. That's mulligan. Alright, this is more like it. Okay, so we have Mother into Stoneforge. We want to keep some lands here. I kind of want to put back this Knight. Just play Death and Taxes for this particular game. Let's play this land out first. In case we need to... In case we want to daze this. I don't think we do if we want to pay for a daze, but it's an option we have. A Wasteland, a Verdant Catacombs, Mother of Runes. What do I like here? The Endurance is like a nice threat that we can rely on for later on. It's got a little bit of meat to it. It's either Endurance or the Wasteland, I think. I'd quite like to keep making land drops. I'll take a Wasteland. That kind of covers us on both bases there. This isn't really a matchup where I want to Wasteland my opponent a bunch. But it is an option that's available to us. If we can just do Mother of Runes into Stoneforge and then just start tempoing our opponent out by hitting them with a big Kaldra whilst Wastelanding them so they can't get out from underneath it. So this is going to be a Psychic Frog, I suspect. An Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, that's irritating in its own lovely little way. I do actually quite like the card Orcish Bowmasters. I know that puts me in a minority in this world. But there we are. So we could Wasteland their blue source and then play a Hierarch. And then they don't get to daze then. I'm down to clown with that. Goodbye, any blue source. And then we'll ramp back out. And then we can play a Stoneforge round of daze if they have a blue land. If they don't have a blue land, then maybe we just get to choose and win the game. Ooh, nope, land pre-combat. Their second main phase hipster. Thoughtseize. Alright, so they're probably going to take the Stoneforge here. I think that's what I would take. Our opponent agrees. Oh, they did have a land. For that tiny moment, I thought we were going to get there. Cryptic Coat. That's an interesting one. I think we're just playing it out. Can we afford to play around a daze here? I think we probably can play around a daze. We're going to take a little hit from the Bowmasters. The issue is if they kill our Hierarch, then we don't get to do that. But if they're spending removal on a Hierarch, it's not the end of the world for us. So we've got this Path to Exile if they have like a follow-up like a Psychic Frog. Otherwise we can turn this Thespian stage into whatever land we want. Alright, there is a Wasteland on the other side of the battlefield. So now we get this around a daze, and it's the biggest thing on the board. A powerful 3-2. So they could Wasteland our fetch land and then Daze. The classic play. Alright, we got some game here. This should blunt our opponent's attack for a little bit. And we have an engine that we can keep bouncing and replaying. Should we see what's under this as well? Oh, a Scryb Ranger. That is an exciting one. Fatal pushing our cloaked creature. That is a shame. So this is 2 to bounce if I'm right? Yes, 2 to bounce. We actually got a good creature that we probably would have flipped up at some point. Right, so in come the Bowmaster. We're still looking for that all-important bit of action. Now we can use this, but it's slow action when our opponent's got some stuff. Kaito. Oh, Kaito's such a pain. This card is really good against us. It's just really good full stop actually. I've been very impressed with Kaito. I imagine in a world where Psychic Frog no longer exists, this card is going to see a lot more play. Because I imagine the format's probably going to slow down when we get some bans. Alright, let's get this. I kind of want to get the Hedge Maze. We have mana off of our Hierarch anyway. We'll have this on top. Okay, now what are we getting with this Green Sun Zenith? I have a Daze, okay. So we could have Wastelanded first, but I would like having more mana available. I got a Force of Will. Okay, that's pretty strong. Yeah, our opponent's just got a little bit more in their toolbox than we have here. But that's blue-black at the moment in Legacy. It is able to do just about everything and whoop everyone quite decisively. Our opponent's playing like the tempo build, which I think is probably the 3rd best deck in Legacy right now. I think the best deck is blue-black Reanimator, the 2nd best being Mystic Forge. Although, actually, I think Nadu is really good too. There's a lot of decks. I think there was 4 decks at the last Eternal Weekend that all had 54% win rate. Okay, we're just getting clowned on here. I do struggle with playing these like green-white creature decks. It's not really my forte. You need to have a lot of experience to get the most out of Maverick shells, in my experience with Legacy. Alright, so we can't deal with Kaito. They've got a lot of power. Yeah, we're just dead here. Yeah, GG's opponent. Really showcase how good Kaito is, though. That's a nice thing to see. Let's go to round 2. Alright, I like Once Upon a Time. It can find us something to bridge the gap to these 3 drops. Alright, Polluted Depths. Let's draw another card and then see what we want to do with Once Upon a Time. Alright, let's cast without paying its mana cost. A Reclaimer. I quite like the Reclaimer here. I think I like that more than the others. Is that true? We could go get the Stoneforge and play that on 2. I think I want to just commit to the board now, because this gives us a turn 1 play and a turn 2 play. Because we can crack this to get... And we're getting stifled. So a long pause on our fetch land. We have a lot of lands to give to a stifle strategy. We'll just get a forest to begin with. And here comes a Reclaimer. I think our opponent probably just stepped away from the computer or something. They paused for a very long time on our fetch land. No cover plains off a Meticulous Archive. I don't know if they're actually going to be playing any snow permanents. It's possible. It might just be because they like that plains and it doesn't really matter for the most part. And it makes people like me guess. So there's some value in that. Under city sewers. Okay. 1 card on top of their library. We lost our poor little creature. I think with all these 3 drops, I don't think we can afford to take a turn wastelanding here. Because we're just going to end up just resetting the game by 1 turn. And if our opponent has a land, all we've done is given them more chance to potentially sculpt with the mana they do have through ponders and brainstorms and things. So we're just going to Hedge Maze into possibly Nadu first, because I think the Knight is a bigger hit at this point as a ponder. Yes, if we'd have Wastelanded, we'd have reset the game, but our opponent gets to cast a ponder. And they already have the follow-up land anyway. Snow Cover Swamp. It's going to be a Psychic Frog. No. I wonder what they were holding, what they were thinking about casting now, but then decided against it. Right, let's get our Hedge Maze. Just have a little looky at what we can find. I don't really need a Wasteland here. Multiple Wastelands is kind of nice, but I don't think we need one. We've already got one, we can fetch more up. Don't really want more lands, so I'm going to try and take a land out of the deck here. And we will play this Nadu, because if they want to remove it, at least we get a 2-for-1 out of it. And this makes every creature we play better. Oh, well, well, well. Look at that. We flipped the Karakas. Disgusting. What an absolutely disgusting thing to see there. Alright, our opponent's had enough of us there. Okay. Some sort of control deck. So we're probably going to want some sort of grindy element, like a Cryptic Coat. I think we're on some sort of Esper control list. So I think it's probably just the coat here. The Gaddock Teague, I don't know how useful this card is actually going to be. I don't want to jam up my own things. I'm going to take the Teague out for the coat. And then, I'm not really familiar with what the Esper control deck looks like at the moment. Alright, I think this will do. Like, we might still want these plows for Tamios or, you know, Triumph for St. Catherine or whatever our opponent is running on their top end. Because they're going to need a win condition. It could be Murktides. Our opponents seem very unhappy with that. They have left the game, but they've been running quite slow, so maybe they're having troubles with Magic Online and they're resetting it. I don't really like the Kaldra Compleat here. But we've got a pretty thick hand with good creatures. So I think we keep this one. We're on the draw, so we've got, what, 3 draws before we start missing land drops? That's plenty. So we can lead off on the Hierarch if we want to. We can curate our opponent's graveyard. So I think our opponent's probably going to have some sort of graveyard-related stuff. That's why I keep the curator in. It's also a pretty sizable threat, and some of our threats are a bit difficult to get off the ground. Because we need to jump through some hoops for the Knight, as well as the Reclaimer. So we don't have that many creatures that are just, you know, a reasonable sized body. We have to work for them a little. We do have this Kaldra. Maybe we'll get to 7 mana. An Island Ponder from our opponent. A classic start. A Nadu. Okay, I think I would like to get this Hierarch down first. Just try and ramp our way towards the Nadu. Like Nadu Scryb Ranger is a bit of a combo. For Strand, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this cracked for a white source and then an immediate plow. Just stifle our development. If they don't have a counterspell ready for something like a Nadu. Okay. Lightning Greaves. That is a mighty tempting card to play here, isn't it? I think we're just going to have the Scryb Ranger and block the Psychic Frog with it. And we're going to play around in Days in case that's relevant. I don't think I want to waste that. I think I'd rather have this as mana towards a Nadu as also mana towards playing around a Days. I don't know if our opponent's running Days, but I've been seeing some even control-y style decks running Days lately. But we have a way of stopping them drawing cards here. This will force our opponent's hand to do something. And then we can hopefully do some Lightning Greaves goodness. Our opponent needs to be a little bit more judicious with their clock right now, because they're a solid 5 minutes behind already, and we're barely into the beginning of game 2 of what is possibly going to be quite a long. We're going to see a plow on our Hierarch. We're going to see a pending. Sure, I'm going to flash this in. Do they have another white removal spell for our Scryb Ranger? It's certainly possible. They do indeed. Okay, so now they get to start rolling with this frog, but they're probably going to be a bit short on interaction, because they just used 2 pieces of interaction. A Karakas. Our opponent's favourite card. Okay, let's go for a Lightning Greaves. Alright. A Spell Pierce. That's no fun. Let's go Reclaimer in. Yeah, so that Lightning Greaves is awkward. We don't have anything to combo with our Nadu now. All it does is protect our creatures. We're kind of playing it the way they maybe thought it was going to be when they printed it. Although I can't say thinking was a great thing that they did, particularly in any abundance when they were making Nadu as a card. Me having another removal spell. There's a white in the pool. Okay, we're just cycling a Lorien Revealed. Blue. So this is going to be a Murktide region. So we're going to need to find an answer pretty sharpish. We don't have any like Maze of Ith style cards in our deck. Stoneforge Mystic. That is a sort of thing that can help us out here. Am I playing around removal? I guess it doesn't matter if they have removal here, right? Because they can just cast it on their turn anyway. Force of Will. Yeah, we're just seeing Psychic Frog completely running away with this game. I think we'll take one more draw, but I think this game is over now. Like they've gotten enough hits with Psychic Frog, and they just answered every single play we did, but then also managed to find an 8/8 in the process. And the pitching of a card to Force of Will didn't really matter because they've been drawing extra cards with the frog. Well, they haven't drawn that many yet. Was it 2? 2 cards they might have drawn. So it's not a lot, but obviously every single card they draw just puts us further and further behind in that particular element of the game, which is why Psychic Frog is kind of nonsense, to be honest. I don't think we can afford to waste down the Scrubland. We need the mana so we can try and play our 3-drops. Because we could play a Nadu with Karakas up, which means we can block the Murktide region, bounce our Karakas and save a lot of life. I don't think I want to lose my Reclaimer here. They did give us the option to block here. Another frog, alright. It's all becoming a bit much. I think it was already a bit much, but maybe this turn we can play a Nadu, hold up the Karakas, and that stops this damage coming in. Or we can just draw another Wasteland. No, we got nothing here. Alright, let's go to the next game. Do we want more removal? Do we want an Assimilation Aegis? Maybe? Maybe that's something we want. How useful is pre-war formalwear? It's good if they counterspell our guys, but it's not very good if they're Swords to Plowsharing them. So we'll swap this out for the Aegis, I think, and give this a go. We could broaden the path just because we really can't allow that frog to get up and running. And the Outland Liberator can go. That should have gone before as well. Alright, I don't mind this hand. It's a little bit heavy on the mana side. But that's kind of an area where, a thing that we've been struggling with a little bit. Alright, let's keep this one. And we can start off with a Once Upon a Time and a Noble Hierarch. Alright, let's cast our Once Upon a Time. See what it finds us. I like a Mother of Runes a fair bit here. I think we're just going to get this Mother down. If our opponent doesn't have an immediate removal spell, we get to shut off a lot of their removal. Or force them into removing two things. Or, sorry, using two pieces of removal. Right, a Ponder. So this Mother of Runes is likely to stick, which means the rest of our creatures are likely to stick too, which is big news. Maybe this can protect a Merit Lage. It's the dream. Now I can play like Hierarch around the days. We're not attacking with our Mother. We'd rather use it to protect ourselves from removal spells. So at least have to fire off 2 removal spells to kill 1 creature. A Brainstorm with a Fetch Hand up, not a bad place to be. We have access to the Cradle next turn, so we can do quite a sizable Green Sun Zenith, which might force out a Force of Will from our opponent. The question we have to ask ourselves, does our opponent have a sweeper like Terminus or Supreme Verdict? Because if they do, and we like go and get a Nadu, then that's not going to be the best news for us. Like, we have to commit something else to the board anyway, I suppose. They haven't immediately cracked the fetch and cast anything. Thespian Stage. That is an interesting one, isn't it? So I think we play out this Cradle. Then we Green Sun Zenith. We can go get Knight of the Reliquary here. Alright, here is the Force of Will I was expecting. They're a full 10 minutes behind clock on us. I think if you're playing a control deck, you need to be playing faster than this. Obviously, we don't know our opponent's circumstances. Maybe, you know, they've got some kids they're having to deal with or whatever, or their internet's being weird, or Magic Online's bugging out for them. They are taking a lot of time. Narset, Powder of Veils. Alright, so now we're just going to attack for 1 with our Hierarch. It can still pump itself. It's probably going to be a Meticulous Archive from our opponent. There it is. So I'm going to shuffle away those Brainstorm cards and get a look at the next card down. Hull Breacher. Okay, so our opponent's like some sort of Hull Day. I think they call it, with Days Undoing and Narset. So we've got a little bit of information about what our opponent's dealing with. Seems very likely they have a sweeper in their deck. Attacking into all this open mana doesn't feel great. Orcish Bowmasters could certainly be a thing. Snapcaster. And I don't want to have to use my Mother of Runes in that fashion. Okay, let's get some card advantage here. Let's cast a Ramunap Excavator and get back our Windswept Heath. It's only getting us lands, but this can go and get us a Surveil land and get us a little bit deeper into our deck and maybe find some real action. And it is still an extra card. It's an extra resource in play if this resolves. Brainstorm from our opponent, sure. Can I have my Snake Cleric, please? Cracking a Blue Delta, we're getting another Brainstorm. We're getting a good old-fashioned counterspell. Oh, it's a good old-fashioned counterspell. There it is. Okay, so I'll play out this Thespian Stage. It gives us access to potential Dark Depths win. And then we will crack with our Noble Hierarch. They're taking about 1 minute per turn. I don't know if they're going to have time to actually win the game, if they manage to wrestle control of it. So we could have held this back to activate the Thespian Stage, but I think we just need to try and get a little bit of damage on our opponent, because we might end up playing a game where we have to play this Kaldra, which we can do next turn. Right, so this Brainstorm means they can't Snapcast a counterspell this turn. So playing out this Reclaimer is free here, due to the Cradle. It's 3 mana, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we would get caught in a daze. Am I willing to do that? That's a tough call. And they're more likely to have things like Counterspell. Right, let's crack this. Do we get another... Do we get Savannah or do we get... Tough call on this land. going to be shut off of white here, but I would like to be able to cast Nadus off the top. I'm going to get Trop. Can I have a big equipment, please? We have a Dark Depths next turn as well. And once this is in play, we can start equipping it to whatever we want. Our opponent probably has a bunch of removal spells they haven't been able to leverage because of our Mother of Runes. That's the sort of thing I have to imagine is in their hand. Okay. This cracks for 6 a turn because of the Noble Hierarch. So if they're going to plow it, they want to do it in response to the Exalted trigger, so we gain less life. But obviously we can Mother of Runes protect it. This is indestructible, so a sweeper like Supreme Verdict won't deal with it. It does mean we're on the hook for something along the lines of a Terminus. That does mean any creature we draw, at some point we won't be able to equip it. Alright, so they're shuffling, so they haven't put a Terminus on top. I just get the feeling our opponent's more likely to have Supreme Verdict than Terminus. Hull Breacher, okay. Like if they want to draw 7, that doesn't really make a big difference. Like obviously they get to reload, but it doesn't stop the fact that we have Mother of Runes protecting a massive Phyrexian Germ token. Alright, they're trying to kill our Mother of Runes, so it's going to try and protect itself. So if you try and protect another creature, then they can just fire a removal spell in response and it doesn't do anything. This way, it at least gets to save this plow from doing anything. It's probably going to try and trade a bunch of stuff here, and then they're going to be able to wheel us. No? We're just going to play a frog. Okay. Well, we can just equip the Kaldra. The secret bonus mode of Kaldra Compleat. Our opponent's already in the red zone in terms of their clock time. We will equip to this guy. This is lethal. So they're going to have to block with the frog. Actually, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they can only block 3 of this. So they're going to go to 2. I'm not going to crack this fetch hand in case they miss it. Actually, if we grow this to 9, we Hedge Maze in here. Put this in the graveyard. We just give this pro white. I don't think they've got a Solitude. So if we give it pro black, they can't block it. And then this just comes for lethal. We do get a little bit blown up if they have a Solitude here. But they haven't given us any indication they're running that sort of thing. Alright, we got the match there. It took a while. We managed to grind our way through. We used 10 minutes of our clock. Our opponent used 20. Alright, let's go to round 3. Alright, I think I can keep this hand. We can Reclaimer into Greaves into Hasty Knight of the Reliquary. That's pretty exciting. I think we do want the Reclaimer here. If we need to pivot into getting a Karakas or something, we can do that. Sprite Dragon. Ah, our opponent's on some cool stuff over there. It's been a hot minute since I've seen one of those. I think we play this one out and get Savannah. Let's play out this Lightning Greaves. See if this gets... Alright. Let's equip to our little friend. And in he comes. So in theory, the Hierarch is free because it can tap for mana straight away with the Lightning Greaves. But we shall see. Narset Parter of Veils. Yeah, that certainly can draw some Magic the Gathering cards. What are you going to find? A Brain Surge. Cool card. Love this card. Don't see very much of it due to Control's position right now, but like, are they going to hold back their Sprite Dragon? They're not. Let's play this Hierarch out. Let's equip it. Let's play out another land. Play our little friend here. Let's equip it. Let's go attacks. Let's attack the Narset. And this can attack them. Boom. I think that is better than fetching stuff. We just don't want them to have extra cards here. Brain Surge. Yep. The Sprite Dragon is pretty tasty. If we can find a Source Plowshares, we can obviously clean it up quite nicely. Our opponent seems to be playing a lot at sorcery speed here, and they've been F6ing our turns. That might just mean their hand didn't have anything, and they're just waiting to draw the right things. But I certainly appreciate our opponent's pace of play after the last round. A Lightning Bolt on our poor little Reclaimer. And the dragon continues to burn. Look at this. 4/4. What a sweet card. Okay, so we play this one out. We cast a Reclaimer. We equip this. I will sacrifice this Savannah. We will go and get a Dark Depths. Oh, lad, we're gonna live the dream here, aren't we? We'll sacrifice this forest. Go and get a Thespian stage. Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, everyone. We're gonna make a 2020. Oh, we're gonna give it haste. Oh, we're doing the thing. We did it. Oh, Alright. I'm happy. League is a success. Whatever the result is, we got to do the thing. Whew. Okay. So our opponent's probably going to be running like type stuff as well, I imagine. I don't know. It's hard to say what our opponent's on, but I think I want this Path to Exile. That's the only thing I'm sure of that I want. What do I not want? I don't think I want this Galaxy, and I don't think I want this Outland Liberator. If they're on red removal, the pre-war formware looks a lot better. Ramunap Excavator, when they seem to be just playing on basics, that doesn't seem great to me either. So we're getting Assimilation Ages and a Path. We could take out the Ramunap or the Wasteland in favour of a Dismember. Maybe I could shave one Wasteland for a Dismember. Just make sure that we kill their guys off. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I'm down to clown with this. I do think our opponent's deck looks cool. I don't know anything about it other than the Sprite Dragon, really. Real cool. It's just not often you see a volcanic island these days, which is a sad state of affairs. Alright, let's have a look. I probably want to land off of this one. Alright, we'll have a Nadu. That's not a land, is it? Does our opponent have a Stifle? Well, I'm not going to respect if they do. Can I afford to play around Wasteland? Just kidding. Doesn't feel like our opponent's about that life. I could be wrong. Oh, they have white mana. Rest in peace. Interesting. Why is that in their deck? There's a question. Let's get Stoneforge down. Say yes to this one. I would like to have... I'm kind of tempted to get this pre-war formal. I think our creature is going to die here. But now they've shown us white mana, I don't know how reliable the pre-war formware is going to be. We already have this other Stoneforge though. Here I get the Kaldra. We can always play another Stoneforge. So the Rest in Peace does stop our Reclaimer and our Knight from growing. But that's fine. They're just going to be Tutor Piece instead. Blood Moon. Okay. How are we getting rid of Blood Moon? Let's go and get this forest now while we can. Not having a Plains in deck feels a bit awkward, doesn't it? We have Hierarchs that can give us white mana. And we can green some Zenith for it. What is this? Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. Alright, our opponent's on some next level cool stuff over there. I don't know what's going on, but I do like it. Play the Lightning Greaves. Make our Reclaimer hasty and shroudy. Alright, our opponent is showing us a whole different side of their deck here. Now they need to commit something to the board that's going to actually make a difference. But it feels like they set up quite the engine here. Yep, killing this is not going to be an easy task for us. Wall of Denial. Big fan of what I'm seeing over here. So this is just a mountain. So we can attack for one here. That's about the best we get to do. We are certainly not going to win this race. Wall of Denial, that's a blast from the past. Nice it. Yeah, it's pretty good. So it draws a card when they cast it, and then they also get to dig into their deck and draw something else. Yeah, this is a very different deck to what I thought our opponent was running. Energy Field, Rest in Peace. Okay, what is our answer to this? What is our answer to this? Do we have anything in the sideboard? Well, we have stuff in the sideboard, sorry. Do we have anything that we... I don't think we can beat that. Alright, we'll save our time and go to the next round. The next game. Okay, so now we have a little bit more information about what our opponent's doing. I would like some Force of Vigors, and I would also like access to a Outland Liberator. I do not believe we need this Dismember that we brought in. I don't believe we need the Path either. I think we have enough removal. So we still need to find 2 more cuts for this sort of thing. I like the Lightning Greaves. The pre-war formware looks worse. Now we know they're on white. And I guess we don't want the Assimilation Ages. Actually, is the Endurance that good? Here? No, the Ramunap's not very exciting, is it? Yeah, our opponent's on some cool stuff over there. Oh, we did see Lightning Bolts. Maybe we do want the pre-war formware. Is that better than Endurance? Endurance is green, so we can at least tutor for it under Blood Moon. Okay. I think this is turn 1, Mother of Runes. Turn 2, Stoneforge Mystic. It doesn't look like our opponent's ramping their stuff out. So this can just go and get us a Savannah. Mind if we had a single Plains in our deck? That'd be sweet. Alright, Mother of Runes. Let's go. Next we can jam this Stoneforge. And just try and ride this to victory. It's going to get us a basic forest. I think that's a key thing to have in this particular game. Can I have a Stoneforge, please? A Brainstorm. It's like the one time they kept open mana, but I don't know. I think they're just playing Sorcery Speed Haymakers for the most part. But they could have some Force of Wills in their deck. We just haven't seen that yet. Right, so we can protect this, so I will just get the Kaldra. I'll pass it over. Mother of Runes. I'm going to be putting in a shift here. We haven't seen Stifles yet. I'm not expecting them either. Alright, they shuffled off of their Ponder. They're playing a Mountain. I'm going to activate my Stoneforge Mystic. Lightning Bolting my Stoneforge Mystic. I don't care. It's done its job here. Let's bash. That felt like a bait. Like maybe they got a white spell and they want to remove our germ token. Alright. We did not fall for the bait and we got there. Our opponent's deck was sweet. But we managed to do the thing that I've been wanting to do with this deck. We managed to do the let's do all our hasty nonsense, and it felt pretty good. All right, you're making a believer of me with this deck. That's for sure. Let's go to round 4. I would like some more land, but Once Upon a Time kind of does that, so we're going to keep this. Maybe we can do the actual Nadu thing at some point today. We haven't done that yet. They did not shuffle off that Ponder. All right, let's cast a free spell. I do like more lands. We do need access to white, so I think it's Misty Rainforest here. I think... do I want to Wasteland our opponent? I think I do. Let's just reset things for a turn. See how this shakes out. Oh, yes. I had the vibe, and it was the correct vibe. Our opponent kept to 1 lander over there. Let's find more Wastelands, please. They might be more incentivized to get a basic if they have a fetch land. Pyrokinesis. Eris, what is this? Are they playing that weird Beanstalk deck that we played Once Upon a Time? Okay, I'm down to Clown. Let's get Reclaimer in. Let's go and get ourselves a Savannah. And we'll drop the Mother. How much mana are we going to have next turn? 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So we don't have quite enough to do Nadu and the Green Sun Zenith for the little creature. The Scryb Ranger. Ponder. Okay, our opponent has broken out of the Wasteland lock now. Well, we can go get a Wasteland, but it's going to be tapped, and that's not really where we want to be. We shuffled their library. Okay, that suggests to me they didn't have a land, but we can't get the Wasteland and use it right now. Stoneforge Mystic. That's quite an exciting draw, isn't it? We don't have the blue mana to make Nadu right now. Intriguing. Stoneforge on the go. A Force of Will. Pitching Murktide Regent. Okay. What am I doing here? I think I'm passing. So next time we can do the Nadu thing a little bit. Alternatively, we can go and get a Wasteland here. Can I have a second land? I don't know if I want to be Wastelanding at all here. I could Pyrokinesis. I could survive a Pyrokinesis relatively well here. Let's go to this forest and go and get a Dryad Arbor. That makes the Cradle tap for more mana. Oh, we have the Lightning Greaves though. That is a spicy one. Blue, green, green. Get this Nadu online. Got another Force of Will over there. Lightning Greaves. Do we get to do the thing? Yeah, we got to do the thing. Our opponent scooped it up. But we got to do the thing. I was saying how we didn't get to do it, so I'm quite happy that we did that. Our opponent's deck has up the Beanstalk and then some big haymakers is mostly what they're trying to do. So I think Assimilation Aegis and Path to Exile look pretty good here. The Outland Liberator is fine. Keen-Eye Curator is okay. I don't think we need the Endurance here. The Ganok Teague, pretty good if they're running lots of big haymakers like Pyrokinesis and stuff, so this is actually going to stay in the deck for once. What is the other cut? Pre-War Formalwear, good against the red decks. Wasteland Lock seems like it's going to really annoy our opponent. Yeah, tough for this last cut. Maybe it's the Scryb Ranger. This can block a Murktide though. Well, if we're bringing in both these, maybe we can trim one Once Upon a Time. Maybe that's me being greedy, but let's be greedy. Like we could board in some like Force of Vigor stuff to deal with Beanstalks. That never feels amazing to me. Okay, so this is Mother of Runes into Stoneforge Mystic. That's reasonable. The Outland Liberator can at least beat down, as well as being able to blow up the Beanstalk if that's what they're about. We also have a removal spell ready for some giant monster. Let's go and get our Savannah. Mother of Runes. Mother of Runes has been pretty decent today. Not a card that's been getting a lot of love at the moment in Legacy. Alright, a Thundering Falls. So this might be setting up to work out which card is best to pitch to a Force of Will. Or they might be trying to do a Daze. Our opponent's setting themselves back, so this is another turn where they won't have the Beanstalk online. We're going to see a basic here. We are. Ponder, just a Ponder, okay. So I think we jam the Stoneforge, and we probably get the pre-war formalwear. Where I want to be here. It brings back our Mother of Runes. Would have loved to have drawn the Caldra then. That would have been sick. Okay, I think we're just going to get another Savannah. Or do we get the Forest in case our opponent plays Blood Moon? I guess we get the Forest, don't we? Let's cast this Stoneforge. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want these Lightning Greaves, but I'm going to take the pre-war formalwear. Being able to Outland Liberator and buy it back is really nice. Getting back our Mother of Runes, also pretty nice. And now our opponent has this weird decision to make where, do we have access to the Caldra in hand already? Do they need to slow that down by killing our Stoneforge? It's an awkward spot for our opponent for sure. We know they've got a Thundering Falls in hand as well, which we can try and blow up if they play it tapped. I imagine they probably want to brainstorm it back into the deck at some point and fish it out at an opportune moment. But we've got a decent selection of options available here. There's the Thundering Falls. Put a card on top of their library. Another Stoneforge Mystic. Intriguing. Right, let's play another Stoneforge. This is a round of Daze. This time we can get the Kaldra. I'll take out their land. Have a cheeky little attack for one. They have to get rid of both of us. Now they could Pyrokinesis and get them both, but then we pre-war formalwear, and then we're sort of back to where we were, but with a bigger Stoneforge that gets to attack and deliver an equipment if it wants to, because it'll have Vigilance. It's a nice space to be. Yep, so there's the Pyrokinesis. But we have these in our graveyard. We do need to resolve our pre-war formalwear to get that to work. It does feel a little bit like our opponent has a Daze. So I'm going to play out this Outland Liberator first and play around the Daze. We're just playing a longer game for now. We can go and get Dryad Arbor to make our Cradle tap for more mana, or we could get a white source. We could also get the blue source, I suppose. A Narset Parter of Veils. Okay. What is this going to find them? It's pretty brave playing a Pyrokinesis deck, given the format right now. I'm going to get Dryad Arbor because we can just finish off this Narset now. The Green Sun Zenith. So what are our choices? We play this Cradle out. We can tap this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana total. So we could get the Stoneforge. We could get the Stoneforge back. Get the Lightning Greaves. That seems pretty good, doesn't it? Why do I tap the Cradle for that though? That is a question for the ages, isn't it? If we don't resolve this Lightning Greaves, we don't get to kill the Narset. I think we're just going to take our guaranteed kill of the Narset. We messed up. We should have used this Forest. But we have the Stoneforge ready to do some stuff next turn. Is this just playing the Beanstalk out? It is. Do they have a Pyrokinesis? Oh, Wasteland. So I'm going to take out our Cradle here. I don't hate the Ramunap here, but I don't think we get to cast it this turn. I think we just want to activate this. Put in the Caldra. Go attacks. I'm going to leave the Dryad Arbor back. A Submerge. Targeting our Germ token. Do I want to blow up this Beanstalk now? So how does Day and Night work exactly? This is if a player casts no spell during their turn. So we're not casting a spell this turn, so this will flip. So this can threaten to blow up the Beanstalk without having to die for it. And if they try and remove our Outland Liberator, we get to blow up the Beanstalk. So they have to cast 2 spells. They've got 3 cards in hand. A lot of their stuff is going to be expensive pitch spells or reactive spells like Force of Will. So they might not be able to stop the Frenzy Trapbreaker from attacking. Alright, I'm just going to go to Taxer. Blowing up your Beanstalk. Pretty nice exchange. And there's also a pretty nice bit of damage there. I'm going to play this Ramunap and see if I can get his Cradle back. A Daze, sure. So we don't have the mana to activate the Trapbreaker, but I can live with that. Opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. We've sort of kept their engine out from underneath them. This is probably going to be a Hedge Maze, I would imagine, or a Thundering Falls, or Mystic Sanctuary. It's going to get back the Pyrokinesis. No, a Ponder. Okay, our opponent is digging. I can't remember if there's any like big haymaker they can play that gets them out of the situation like this. They've got the thing that makes dragons, but that costs red mana, and then requires you to cast... I think it's casting multiple spells makes it pop off. They shuffled off that Ponder. We don't have lethal damage. They could just cast 2 spells and flip our Frenzy Trapmaker. So we're doing them 1 less damage. Verdant Catacombs. I'm pretty happy to have that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't have enough to do everything we want. I'm still going to attack here. Which puts our opponent to 1. Alright, our opponent has had enough. Alright, we got the match. So we're locked in with a positive record, and we are angling for a 4-1 to finish this league off. That's pretty exciting. Let's see if we can put it on the board. This is not a hand we can keep, so we're going to mulligan this one. Sure, this works. What are we putting back? It's probably the Ramunap. And if we're keeping one of our 3 drops, we're going to keep the Knight, which is especially good with the ability to bring it back if they kill it, as well as being able to Lightning Greaves and make sure it can do stuff and be protected. A land is probably what we're after here. A fetch land. I like that. That means we can guarantee a 2-drop before Wasteland comes and ruins our day. Let's see what flavour of deck our opponent's on. Hopefully we'll get some more information this turn. A Savannah. Savannah and Wooded Foothills. I'm going to go and get a Hedge Maze, I think. I don't hate having another land, if I'm being honest. But we already have 3 lands. Alright, I'm going to put it into the graveyard. Let's aim higher. Right, let's play out a Lightning Greaves. Oh, we're in with the Lightning Greaves. Things get pretty exciting from here on out. I've really been enjoying Lightning Greaves in play. Commercial District from our opponents. So they're on some sort of Naya deck. Could be Naya Depths, that would make sense. They kept the card on top. Sylvan Library, sure, this looks like a Naya Depths deck to me. Is our opponent going to Swords to Plowshares our creature? They are indeed. Well, we've got another Knight for next turn. We might be able to double Wasteland our opponent as well. The pre-war formalwear, not going to be cutting it against the white removal though. Alright, they've got the Sylvan Library running. They're not keeping one of the cards. Are they going to pay 4 life here? Okay, so they did not keep any additional cards. Grove of the Burnwellers. We could be just looking at like punishing Maverick. Oh, okay. Are we check pile here? So this can effectively mill off the 2 cards from top by drawing and discarding them. It's pretty good. I'm incentivized to kill this Grove of the Burnwellers this turn, that's for sure. There's Wasteland out. Can I have this one? Ooh, we're in. Okay, so we get to attack. Attack, fade in here. We could cut our opponent off with blue, or we could cut this Punishing Fire out. I'm not in love with the Punishing Fire. Let's just get rid of that one. That does stop us from having Nadu, although we can activate the Knight of the Reliquary to get us the mana to do the Nadu. Okay, they kept a card, so they paid 4 life this time around. Uro, sure. Is this going to be getting Stifled or something, or Talon Gates? I don't know, I've got a feeling it's going to be Talon Gates. I don't know why. Maybe it's Stifle? Oh, Twire, it wasn't Talon Gates. Okay. Oh wow, we just drew it. We just drew it. 1 card in hand. Is it a daze? Oh, we hit Cradle. That's savage. We have to target backwards and forwards because the Shroud stops us being able to target it. Oh, we get to do something. We get to do the dream here, right? We got enough mana for this? We play this out. We put it onto this. We need a little bit more mana. Oh, they weren't going to do it. Okay, we got 2 triggers. Okay, so we weren't going to find it. So we're going to have 3 mana here. 4 mana, effectively. So 3 mana, tap this. So we have 1 mana left over. This go gets the... You know, we were 1 shy of having the combo and doing it hasty. Alright. Pretty cool, though. So our opponent is doing some landsy style stuff. I think their graveyard is going to be an important zone. How important, I don't know. Is it full Fairy Macabre or is it just Keen-Eye Curator Endurance? Probably just Keen-Eye Curator Endurance. I don't know if we need any more removal of that description. I don't really like this Teague. I think I would like a Disruptor Flute. I'm expecting Minsk and Boo out of our opponents. Outland Liberator can blow up a Mox. And get, I don't think pre-war formalwear is good. I just take a 2nd Flute. I think that's okay. Alright, let's ball in with this. A lot of removal. Too much removal, I would say. Let's mulligan this one. Not enough lands. Let's mulligan. Alright, we can keep this. I guess we get rid of a Stoneforge and a Mother of Runes since we don't really have the mana for that right now. Mox Diamond, Pitching Tiger, Sylvan Library, pretty good. I don't think we want to go fully into Force of Vigors for this. Oh, we drew the white source. That's exciting to me. Right, I'll play out this Trop. It gives us the ability to play the Keen-Eyed Curator if we draw it, which might be something we want given our opponent's deck is probably packed with some amount of life from the loam. Right, they put one of the cards back from the library, two of them back. Okay, so we're using it for selection, not a card advantage this turn. This is where we trip up from that though. Play Wasteland out. Okay, they kept one of the cards. A Dak Faden. He is the greatest thief in the multiverse after all. Let's hope he doesn't steal this game. Okay. See if we can get this Stoneforge in. I think I do want the Kaldra here. Because we've got another Stoneforge we can follow up with. Now, there is the issue of the Dak Faden. We need to make sure we kill the Dak Faden. Because he can gain control of an artifact. He doesn't gain control of the germ. But they can move it around if the game goes on long enough and they have enough mana. They can re-equip it to their creature. That's just something to be aware of. So we probably Wasteland their white source if they only have one up. Life from a loam. Okay. Punishing Fire on our guy. Okay. Alright, they're going to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. So I think we're going to main phase this Endurance this turn. Another Life from a loam. Oh, that's right, that's the same one. They dredged it and then... Okay, yeah. So this is the turn we put the Endurance in, I think. We know they've got a Wasteland. I think I just get a Savannah here so we can't be taken off of white. Let's cut all that stuff out from our opponent. We have something to pressure the Dak with. If we draw a land and our opponent doesn't waste us, we can always go and get the Lightning Greaves. And that gives us more damage that we can throw immediately at the Dak Faden. But I suspect we're just going to get Wastelanders here. So they have another loam. 6. Okay, I would like some removal for this. This card does a lot. Okay. We don't have a removal spell for this guy. We could get a Hierarch and attack the Dak. Was this you gain control of stuff? That's kind of annoying. How do we deal with this? I think we are green sun's anything for a Noble Hierarch here. And then we either kill the 6 or chunk this guy down. It's not ideal, but we'll probably lose to a Swords to Plowshares here. Let's see if we can get 4 damage on that Dak. I can't imagine they're going to block with a 6 here. I kind of wish they would. Oh, they are. Okay. Does this mean our opponent's just going to target our stuff? This is whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more permanents. So they can steal some of our permanents, but a lot of them will die to like the Punishing Fires anyway. I guess they can Punishing Fire our germ. This Dak Faden has to be better for them just plussing here, I would imagine. Right, going for the emblem. Have they got some weird spell that targets loads of stuff? Keen-Eyed Curator. That's a solid Magic the Gathering card right there. 2 cards left in their hand. I think this is a let's go get the Hedge Maze this turn. Just get that tiny little bit of extra surveil value. Do I need another land? We kind of already have that checked. I don't think we do. Swords to Plowshares. That is a card I am happy to see here. Alright. I kind of want to plow this. If they crack... They're going to crack this land at end step. They're going to just drain our graveyard here. Get rid of Stoneforge, sure. They're going to get rid of something else. They're probably going to crack this and get rid of something else. And then we will fire off the plow. So they do get to get a different land now, so they can get a Surveil land instead. We're just removing one of our things. Alright. What do they have that targets all of our stuff? Like Punishing Fires here is pretty good. They can take our Nadu and then our Endurance. An Uro, that's a pretty solid Magic the Gathering card. If they find a land here, they might be able to put the Uro into play. We still get to crack for 4 in the sky. So they found the land, so they can rebuy the Uro. We do get to Stoneforge and do our Nadu thing next turn though. And that is obviously very strong. We get to draw 8 cards. Our opponent has 2 cards to interact with us. Right, they put in a land. It's a Cephalid Colosseum because they have things like Orcish Bowmasters in their deck. No, they haven't shown us black actually. It's just a fine card you can have to loot some stuff away. Probably some other synergy in there as well. It's Lightning Greaves time. Here we go. I have to move it along the row. Each creature has their own instance. If we find the right stuff here, we might be able to go and just do our big combo in one turn. Right, back on the Dryad Arbor. So what we can do here is we can replay the Nadu. We can't replay the Nadu, we don't have any more blue mana in our deck. So we play this one out, I guess. This goes on here. Alright, our opponent's scooping it up. So that is a pretty tasty 4-1 we managed to get there. And the one we lost, we did split it 1-2, so it's certainly possible we could have won that one. Yeah, this deck felt surprisingly good. There's definitely some really good stuff in this deck, as well as some slightly more questionable bits, but let's talk about it. So, Gaea was something we boarded out a lot. I think this is something we want in the sideboard rather than the main. I understand it's in here because Mystic Forge had a really good Eternal Weekend in the US, like putting 3 in the top 8, so you're expecting a lot more of it. And the deck is still good. It's the highest win rate deck, equal with 3 other decks from the last Eternal Weekend. So it's definitely something on your radar. But I think just having this in the sideboard makes a little bit more sense and frees up a little bit of room. The pre-war formalwear is an interesting one. I think it's very good in our deck, provided we're not against white removal. So I think this could be a sideboard card as well, potentially. What did feel good? The Lightning Greaves on like a bunch of mana dorks, like just allowing them all to tap for free and get some cool stuff going. Like that, we had that really, really sweet win where we managed to get the Reclaimer popping off into the Knight, into the Marriage, into the Hasty 2020, and that was absolute chef's kiss. Really happy with how that worked out. I think I wanted a 4th Noble Hierarch. So the original list I was sent was a little bit different to this. It did have 4 Noble Hierarchs. I cut one because I wanted to play the Ramunap Excavator. So that's my greed there. So blame that one on me. But the Lightning Greaves and Nadu stuff did actually feel pretty solid. We are splashing just for the Nadu though, which is quite a lot. And is this bird going to be legal next week? I don't think it should be legal next week, but we'll see what Wizards of the Coast decide. So that side of the deck might not work. But if that side of the deck goes, I still think you can build a pretty sweet Lightning Greaves deck using like having 4 Knights in your deck, having the Elvish Reclaimers, creatures that tap for stuff, and yeah, like the whole Lightning Greaves thing felt good. I kind of want to play a 4th Stoneforge and a 4th Noble Hierarch. That's kind of where I'm at. The original list I was sent also had a Jitte, but I wanted to try out the pre-war formalwear instead. I think either has some pretty useful merits here. I think the Jitte is an awkward one in the realm of Tamiyo's plussing so that you can't get counters in the first place is kind of annoying here. And it's not very good at killing Psychic Frogs because they're always going to be big enough. So I can understand why people like the Jitte, but it does feel a little bit old school. Obviously, a lot of our deck does. But it certainly performed today, and I was very happy with how it felt. I think it's going to be a case of seeing what the meta looks like next week to decide how to tweak this. As for like what I would do immediately, like I said, I'd probably get rid of this Gaea and maybe the pre-war formalwear. Maybe that should be Jitte, maybe it should be Batterskull. Feels like it needs to be something. And then the Gaea can just become a Noble Hierarch, I think. And then I think I like that a little bit more. Just turn this into a different equipment. Yes, you can have a Jitte. I'm not sure I want the Jitte. Maybe it's the main deck Cryptic Coat. That pressures Tamiyo relatively well. It gives us a little engine if we're flooding out on mana. That could be where I would land on that one. And you'd have to tinker with the sideboard a little bit. Maybe you cut a Damping Sphere or a Fairy Macabre since you already have a bunch of Graveyard Hate in the main. The mana base felt okay. We did stumble over mana a little bit a couple of times, but we also did board it. We did also play 1 less Noble Hierarch than maybe we should have. So you could argue that's on me. We did also keep Hand with Dark Depths that didn't ever tap for mana. I don't know if you can fit a Yavimaya in this deck. It feels a little bit awkward to try and fit it in with everything else you've got going. I did kind of want access to some kind of Maze of Ith, but I think the problem with that sort of thing is this is my preference. I skew much more towards playing land style decks than playing Maverick decks. And this is a Maverick deck with a hint of like green-white depths in it. So it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I would reach for something like a Maze of Ith more than an actual Maverick player would. So in terms of chewing this deck, it's better to listen to the Maverick players than me personally. But I just think when you have these things, I personally want a little bit more of a shooter box to go with them, especially when we've got the 3 Reclaimers as well. So we've got quite a bit of stuff going on there. All in all though, really sweet league. I I'm always a little bit dubious when I'm playing some of these Maverick decks when you look at some of the things people can do in the format. You know, you've got Psychic Frog Shenanigans, Mystic Fours, like Cephalid Breakfast, all these decks drawing extra cards, doing cool stuff. So I'm always a little bit reluctant playing like a green-white creature deck. But we absolutely slapped hard today, and it did feel like we were playing some good stuff. Now, some of our matchups were a little bit more unusual. We weren't playing against all the top-tier decks necessarily. We did play against a top-tier deck in the first round, and we got bodied pretty hard. We managed to win one of the games, and we didn't really get our engines up and running, and we kind of got mana screwed, and maybe if we didn't get mana screwed, we would have been all right. But we are playing something new and busted in the Silly Bird that is definitely going to get banned at some point. I think it should be banned on the next ban coming up next week. But if it isn't, I imagine it gets banned in the one after that. So playing the broken stuff is a pretty good way of doing it. I really enjoyed the Lightning Greaves. Like I said, real blast from the past. I remember when this came out and it just sort of blew everyone's little minds, especially when I was not the most competitive player in the world back then either. So it was like, oh wow, this card is so cool. We get to do all this cool stuff. Because who likes waiting, right? Okay, I think we're done with this one. I hope the donor got everything they wanted out of this one. We did the Nadu thing. We did the Dark Depths thing. And I think we're pretty close to doing the Nadu thing into the Dark Depths thing in the final round. So all in all, a really sweet league. And I enjoyed this a whole bunch more than I thought I was going to. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't. It doesn't cost you anything and it does help the channel out. Alright, once again, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbo Depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbo Depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.